which it was for the Satoshi AI concept, but that has been repositioned or renamed for the whole hyper community and is now labeled as the targeted financial assistance. So when I say TFA, that's what I basically mean, which is the assistance for users of Hyper, Nation, HYPERVERSE, targeted financial assistance. So when I say TFA, that's what I basically mean, which is the assistance for users of Hyper, Nation, HYPERVERSE, Hypercosmos, the whole hyper group. So there's two parts that are interesting about this. First one is the charging period, and the bit that everybody's interested in, which is the withdrawal period. So here we go. We're going straight into what does it all actually mean. We're going to look at the 5,000 TFA credits. So in your account, when you've moved funds from, say, HYPERVERSE, and you've got something in pending, which shows up as HU, you've also got something in HPT, which was from your financial section. So the HPT you can use as like a discount voucher towards land sales or new clothes for your avatar, or probably a whole host of different things. So what we're looking at is your pending rewards. So those will be turned into TFA credits. So the first part that you'll be able to enter, and these will be released on so many per day. So if you don't get in the first day, don't worry, you'll be able to get in the following day. Now, the way this works is from your hyper community, you will transfer 5,000 or the exact amount. You might have to transfer all of it and then use portions of it. That part we're still waiting to see how that's going to work. But basically, once you've transferred over and you've got your 5,000, you will then be able to buy Pack A. Now, Pack A will return 1.5 times, which is 7,500. The number of subscriptions available to each member is only one, so you can only buy one of those. It has 2 milestones, 30% and 100%. So once you start to receive your daily rewards, you'll step up and you'll recharge, and that will give you rewards at 0.15%. So on the next slide, it will make it a bit more easier for you to understand. There's actually no point in me talking about step B and step C, because I think the way it's going to be is everybody will start at the bottom. If you are somebody who was in Satoshi AI and you had the FRA system, that is now called TFA plus. Those people will receive 0.2% and they will get priority because they actually paid for Satoshi AI mining, which has now been stopped, and DAOVERSAL have taken over the whole thing. So every targeted assistance pack provides a 1.5 return of the pack value. The charging period refers to the duration during which the released amount has not reached 100% of the pack value. So if you're on 5%, 50%, 70%, that's still the charging period until you get to 100%. And the 100% is the 5,000 you started with. So during the charging period, the daily release rate is capped at 0.15% for hyper members and 0.2% for Satoshi AI members. After this period, the daily release rate increases to 0.6%. Don't forget, daily rewards also include things like land staking. And I think probably this is one of the things we can clarify is we talk about buying land, but you're actually staking when you opt for any land, and that will give a return also. And then you've got land tax, planet referral rewards, marketing rewards. This can shorten the charging period. So again, that's entirely people's choice whether they decide to do this or not. This is just step one. So users are required to click on the charge button to claim all the rewards to charge the targeted assistance pack. So in your back office in Diversal, you will have a section where you will see an indicator. You will receive your percentage each day. So here's an example. You subscribe for 5,000, you're on 0%. Your release rate is 0.15%, which is 7.5 per day. Each day you go in and claim it, that gets you closer to your 30%. Once you've got to the charging section, that's when you'll then be able to start the withdrawal process. In that whole process, you'll keep doing the charging period until you get to 5,000, and then you've hit 100%, at which point the release rate changes to 0.6%. And you can see the reasoning behind this. Diversal have now ownership of the community, and all the community needs to do is log in and press a button to charge. And guess what? If we log into Facebook and a million different things we log into each day, doing this task is not a huge thing. So let's just take a look at it a little bit further. So you've now purchased your pack A. 5,000 is what you've purchased. 7,500 is when it's fully released. 30% of 5,000 is 1,500. That's 30%. You will receive 0.15%, which is 7.5 daily. So once you reach the 30%, then you'll be able to start releasing some of those funds. So there are two milestones. There's a 30% milestone, and then there's a 100% milestone. So everybody who opts for this will receive the full 7,500 over time. It's not a quick fix. We do something for them, they do something for us. Let's just look at it one step further. So now you've done that process, you've been pressing your charge button every single day. After you've reached your first milestone of 1,500, the 0.15% to 1,500, you'll be able to withdraw 2.25 DU per day. You'll still press the charge button because don't forget, if you're withdrawing, your charge amount has dropped below the 30%. So you have to keep charging it to get it above that. Once you get to the 100% on the second milestone, that then becomes 0.6%. And 0.6%, and you will then be able to withdraw 30 DU per day. 1 DU is the equivalent of 1 USDT. So here's an example of your accumulation. So you accumulate 1,500, you've got to the finish line on your first milestone and start the withdrawal process. You continue to recharge. Why is it 2.25? The withdrawal for daily is 0.15 of 1,500, which is 2.25. It's a slow release. The recharge for daily rewards is the reward TFA plus all rewards times 2 multiplier. Still trying to work out how that part works, but I'm sure we'll get to that bit by bit. Step 3 is your second milestone, which is accumulate the 5,000. You finish your milestone at 100%. your withdrawal for daily is 0.6%, which is 30 DU per day. You will continue to withdraw 30 DU per day until your total payout is 7,500. In my opinion, it makes it fairer if every single person in the network starts on the same one. So it doesn't matter if you've got 50 million sitting in your pending rewards, we all start at the bottom. To me, personally, that my thought is that makes it much fairer. And this is basically for passive user. So somebody who just wants to withdraw their funds and go through this process. We all know that Diversal are not just going to suddenly hand over funds for doing nothing. They're going to want something as well. So if you've got no active land, you bought no planets. So this is probably the bulk of people. Package A, 5,000, 1.5 times that is 7,500. Your release rate standard is 0.15%, 7.5 per day. Once you hit your milestone at 30%, at 1,500, that's 200 days. After 200 days, you can withdraw 0.15% to 1,500, which is 2.25 DU per day. The minimum withdrawal amount is $5, and there is no upper limit. After 466 days, which is the balance, you reach the finish line, and the second milestone is reached, and then you can withdraw 30 DU per day, which is 0.6%. You will continue to withdraw until your payout is 7,500. Now, if you bought some land, that is classed as staking, and that increases what you receive in your rewards each day, which gets you closer to your 30%. So let's take an example. If you only purchased a $10 piece of land and you received 6 cents per day, that's still 6 cents more, which takes a few days off your milestone that you need to achieve. And this is only an option. You can stick with the not buying anything, not doing, I'm just going to go in, press charge every day. If you miss a day of your charging button, it will be live for up to 120 hours, which is 5 days. If you then don't press it, then whose fault is it? We're all, responsible for what we do. So now we're going to go into the game plan of what is all this land and planets and what does it all mean? Oh, for some reason, one of the slides went blank, but there you go. That's life. Technical hitch. So the contents overview is welcome to Diversal. It's a planetary ecosystem model. Each person who owns a planet becomes a node. Owning land is something you can do. You get planet referral rewards. There are unique release rates. You're rewarded in DU. There's different progression paths, which I'm not even going to touch. And to be honest, I haven't even read it myself. There's things like land reassessments, there's rewards, there's marketing rewards. There's quite a lot built into it. But I think to keep life simple, I've not even covered that part at all. We're only going to look at the basics. So early access to 400 planets. And the first 400 planets sold out within 72 hours. They've also released another 200 planets, of which I think we've now done 24 hours, and 100 planets have already gone. So the DU is pegged to the USDT at a 1-to-1 ratio. 10% of markets rewards can be swapped to DT according to the DT rate. That's, I think, the DAO token. So guess what? Some of this is just a slight bit of guesswork. So the resource coin, which is internal, can be exchanged at a 1-to-1 rate. This is where you can use it for all sorts of internal features, which I'm sure will come up as we go further into this and understand it better. So there's almost 600 planets. Now, here's the interesting part, which only sort of dawned on me this morning, which is if you think of a whole planet, 1,000 pieces of land is a huge amount of land. Just think of it, there are 260 odd countries in the world, and that's huge land masses. So imagine breaking them all, put them together, and turn them into 1,000 pieces. That's quite a bit of land. And some of those lands, especially on the stone planets, are going to start at $10. So this is not telling people they should buy it, but why not have a bit of fun along the way? So the stone planet is ranked as number 1, and I suppose they call it like the Stone Age planet. The planet quantity of the first 400 that were released was 200, 120 of the bronze and 80 of the iron. The price of each planet, the stone planet is 500 USDT, the bronze planet is 2,000 USDT, and the iron planet is 3,200 USDT. As the owner of a planet, you can decide the price that the land is sold for within a certain range that the company have already set out. So your accumulated, the land tax formula is that your accumulated stake amount times 0.6% times 10% is what you receive daily on the stone planet. On the bronze and the iron, it's the stake amount times 4% as a one-off. All rewards are in DU, and you can actually name your planet. So you can subscribe to a planet is the equivalent of becoming a node. You can, every piece of land sold from the stone planet, the node receives 10% land tax of the daily reward generated by the land. For every piece of land sold from the bronze planet or higher, the node receives a one-off land tax of 4% based on the initial pledged amount. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. If people think they can just buy a planet, sit back and withdraw funds, they could do that, as far as I know. But as an owner of a planet, you have to also build infrastructure. It's no good having pieces of land if you've got no ways or means of moving from one piece of land to another. So it's not just a case of take out. You need to reinvest in your planet to make it grow, to make it more appealing, to make it more interesting. So anybody who thinks they can just buy a planet and sell a bit of land and think this is great, it's going to get a bit of a wake-up call. So let's just have a quick look at a couple of the planets. So the land tax formula on the stone planet is the accumulated stake amount times 0.6% times 10%. So here's an example. Let's say there are 500 landowners who have staked 100 DU. The land tax is 100 times 0.6% times 10%, which is 0.06 DU per land. So 0.06 times 500 is 30 DU daily. So guess what? This is not some, oh, let me do this, it's great, I'm going to receive huge amounts. No, this is run like a proper economy. You can't be taking out huge amounts and leave the people to fend for themselves. So let's have a look at the bronze planet. The land tax formula is the stake amount times 4%. So let's again assume there are 500 landowners, and on the bronze planet, the staking amount is higher. And let's say they all stake 250 DU. The land tax is 250 times 4%, which is 10 DU. The land tax of 500 landowners is 10 times 500 is 5,000 DU as a one-off. But don't forget, it's not going to sell out in the next 5 minutes. It's going to take time because a lot of people are going to go through the TFA process and they want to see whether this thing works. Second thing is a lot of people will just want to extract their funds, and that's okay. That's what is being offered to all the members. So this just gives you an example of how owning a planet makes a difference. So description. So users may fill in the referral's invitation code before proceeding to payment to subscribe to a planet. So this is your referral. Your referral will receive the planet referral reward upon every first land tax received from the bronze and iron planets, not from the stone planet. So the first land tax, 10%, and I know, believe me, I'm just as confused as most people. I probably have to read this about 20 times for it to really sink in. But at least if we go through it, it's easier. User A has filled in user B's invitation code while subscribing to a bronze planet. Assuming the first land tax that user A received was 10 DU, user B will receive 10 DU times 10%. So that's 1 DU as the planet referral reward. So I know it sort of looks a bit complicated, but it will make more sense when you actually see it happen. So to receive planet referral reward, one must own any planet, including the stone planet. Planet referral reward is a one-time reward based on 10% of the planet's first land tax only. Only new subscriptions for bronze and iron planets, excluding the stone planet, will generate planet referral rewards. The referral's invitation code must be entered manually for each new planet subscription, and it can be charged for every new subscription. Filling in the invitation code is optional, and if the user doesn't enter the code, no planet referral reward will be given. Planet referral rewards will be distributed in DU to the pending rewards account. Self-referral is not allowed. So guess what? Anybody who might have the idea, that won't happen. Also, one other thing to remember, which I thought about it a second ago, my brain has gotten totally blank. Actually, is when you've earned, there is no rebuy button or anything like that, because this is totally different. The only thing you could purchase is land on different planets. And this is where it gets interesting, is as you see revenue being generated, because don't forget, there are going to be gamers, there are going to be lots of different options of what people can do with all the different planets, land, etc., etc. And also, I just remembered, is think of this. Let's say a person called John owns a planet, and I've got a load of people who I've referred, etc. Those people are free to go and visit John's planet and subscribe to his planet, because he's doing a much better job of running his planet. So this is not just about let's get a load of referrals. This is also about how you run the planet that you own, and not just the planet. Think of the land that you own and what you put on your piece of land, because nobody's going to go and visit a blank piece of land with nothing on it. So owning land. And this is the other bit people will probably want to know. So let's just look at the stone land and the bronze one. There's 1,000 pieces of land per planet, and the staking amount is between 10 and 100 DU. So if I own a stone planet, the only amount I can charge is anywhere between 10 and 100. I can't charge 5 and I can't charge 200. These are the limits that the company has placed to stop A, people almost giving it away, and also B, to stop people getting overzealous with the price. So on the bronze land, it's between 101 and 300. And for the iron land, it's between 301 and 500. Redeemable, I still need to find out what that actually means, is eligible in the stone land.
I know, Pin, if you wanted help with that bit.
Go on then.
Yeah, that clicked for me yesterday. So the stone land is completely different to the other two,
Right.
because you may withdraw your $100 at any time should you wish to.
Right.
Now, if we do that, the land is still ours, but it's no longer active and obviously won't be paying us a daily percent.
Right.
And the stone land, while ever there's money in it, it will generate rewards daily until the end of time, basically. Whereas the other two planets will stop when it reaches, when you've had 3x,
Right.
and then you would need to fund them again to start receiving again.
Brilliant. And actually, that makes a lot of sense because it's geared towards the lower end of the market. Because guess what? It's always best to start at the bottom and see what happens. How does this work? You know, what makes it tick? The fees, redemption fees on the stone land are 3%. Total rewards are unlimited on the stone land and 3x on the bronzonite. Now I can see where that makes sense. The rewards on the stone land is DU, and on the bronze land is RC. And this is also where it gets interesting. So the release rate on stone land is fixed at 0.6%, and there's a unique release rate on the bronze and the iron. Marketing reward is not available on the stone land, but is RC on the bronze and iron. I think a lot of this we will understand once we see how it does what it does. So the staking periods, and actually this slide was quite interesting. Let me just go through the notes. The ownership of stone land is limited to 1 per account indefinitely. Each account can only possess 1 active land from each planetary rank. Bronze land and above can be reacquired once the existing land becomes inactive. That will be an interesting process to see.
You're looking to make your app the best it can be. It sounds simple.
This is also interesting. The staking periods from day 1 to 10, the release rate is 1.5%. From day 11 to 30 is 1.2%. Day 31 to 60 is 0.8, and 61 onwards is 0.4. So this is what I will call front-loaded. In other words, you get more at the beginning, less towards the end, because in the beginning is when you're building, you're learning how this works and you're trying to figure it out, and you want that revenue to come in so you can go and put it to use. So all rewards, including daily and marketing rewards, will be in RC except for Stone Planet rewards. Users are required to claim the reward manually within 120 hours from the pending reward account. Actually, there you go. So that covers that bit. And I'm hoping I'm right on the charging side as well. Otherwise, rewards generated after 120 hours will not accumulate until the previous rewards are claimed. So again, inactive members are no good to Diversal. They want to show activity, because you'll be surprised. I've seen metaverses out there with hundreds and thousands of members, but literally a very tiny amount are actually active, as in they don't even log into their accounts. And this is what metaverse platforms are looking for, active users. So we are the active users that make this thing tick. So let's just take a quick look at the release rate on a stone land. 100 times fixed at 0.6. This is if you just came in as a brand new member. 100 times fixed at 0.6 is 0.6 DU daily, and you receive 0.6 DU every day. On a bronze land, which is, say, 300, from day 1 to day 10, you will receive 1.5%, so you'll get 45. The following day 10 to day 30, you will receive 72. So if you work it out, and then from day 30 to 60, 0.8%, which is 72, and day 60 to day 70 is 12. So that is 201. So that's a 67% return on your land staking within 70 days. That doesn't include your marketing rewards. This is purely on staking. So this is where you can see the difference between the TFA process and somebody who just comes in from outside who wants to take part in this. So here's where we are so far. July 2023, which is, well, sort of like coming into August. Cross-platform signing through HYPERVERSE and Satoshi AI, Planet subscription, which is live now. The next part we're going into is land subscription and the marketing reward, which is imminent before the end of the month. The next thing that's coming is GPU cloud computing power. So I think this will probably move into mining, etc. And then there'll be more things that will be released